In this clip, Joe Rogan talks about the impossible feat of moving 1,000-ton statues through the desert. Hope you enjoy.
Yeah, I think there's a strong possibility as well that there's a lot more of that stuff, and even to their credit, like archaeologists suggest the same. Like the scope and scale of what is under the sand in Egypt. I mean, I think even most mainstream archaeologists will tell you like 70% of it's still as yet undiscovered, at least.
That is so crazy. That's such a crazy thing to say when you look at what has been discovered.
Well, it's nothing quite like it. I mean, Luxor. What do they say? The stats around Luxor is like 1/3 of the world's antiquities in this one area.
For context, Luxor is a city in Egypt, and it's host to multiple beautiful temples and also some of the biggest statues in Egypt.
Just at Luxor, and it's not even the Giza Plateau. That's Upper Egypt, down at Luxor with the West Bank and the Valley of the Kings and Karnak Temple, and it's astonishing. And they're still digging stuff up. There's the Temple of Amenhotep, the second or third, is near. No, Colossi of Memnon, these giant 600-700-ton statues are like the front door to it, and they're slowly excavating this monstrous temple behind it, and they keep finding these remnants of these colossal statues. I've heard rumors, just rumors. I'm going to Egypt like next week. Hopefully we can, I want to get a look at this, and I've heard rumors that they found like a hand from a statue that's even bigger than the biggest ones we've found so far. So they might have found a segment of a statue that was...
Here you can see old broken pieces of statues from the same place, and look at that human right there standing next to a foot. Just imagine how ginormous these statues once were.
One of the largest ever, which would be astonishing, because who knows? I mean, there's some evidence that they made stuff like that. I mean, we talk about 1,000 tons, and that's mind-boggling enough, but there's actually a quarry in Egypt called Minya. It's like the unfinished obelisk, right? It's like the unfinished obelisk still attached. They never pulled it out. It's 1,200 tons. But at Minya, it's like limestone, and they've cut these blocks out. They're still attached. They've made these blocks, and there's even an inscription, like a rough inscription of a seated like a seated figure on a throne, sort of drawn on this.
That's what they were
as if that's what they were going for. But if you take the density of the limestone in the Minya region and you calculate its volume, it's in the realm of 5,000 tons.
This is one of the blocks that Ben was talking about. Doesn't look too impressive, right? Until you see this. If this statue was fully carved, it would have been more than 20 meters long.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's who knows what was there originally. I mean, I think it's baffling enough that we have this these logistical achievements in that anything above really 300-400 tons is, Christ, above 100 tons over any distance is a massive challenge for anyone. I mean, us to move that sort of a load over the roads and things we have now. I mean, shit, even in Peru you find similar logistical achievements. Like just came back from 5 weeks in Peru.
I want to talk about that, but I have to pee so bad.
Okay.
So let's pause real quick,
Yeah.
and we'll be right back. Sorry about that, folks. And we're back. Have you speculated like why they wanted things so big?
One reason could be that ancient pharaohs and kings wanted to be seen as gods, and making statues 500, 1,000 tons, 1,500 tons, that would do a pretty good job at that.
Like, or was it just that they had the ability all of a sudden at one point in time in their development?
I mean, you can't make, to me, any argument that these giant statues are functional. They're clearly symbolic,
Yeah.
and it's almost like a challenge to history. It's a monument through history. I mean, there's some indication that things like the pyramid, the Great Pyramid, are markers, and they're demonstrations of their knowledge and capability. We can talk about that in a minute. But there's with the statues, it's to me, it's just like
The statues seem to be a giant dick measuring contest between pharaohs.
like, look at us, look how mighty we are. Like it's like the same reason why do we make Mount Rushmore, or we make some big it's like to leave a monument or some sort of marker behind. I mean, the Sphinx, for example, could be a marker in time when you look at it in terms of the Great Cycle and the fact that it was likely a lion, and it's facing due east. So that it could well be a marker for a particular moment during the processional cycle.
Which could be either like 10,500 BC or 35,000 BC.
Right, or plus 25,920 years. So it's each cycle of that. So this is the thing. I mean, the Sphinx, it's been talked about, even like, again, you go back to Diodorus Siculus and Strabo. And
The reason why Ben is naming such crazy dates is because there have been found water erosion patterns on the Sphinx's enclosure, and the last time that the Sahara had sufficient rainfall to cause these water erosion patterns is about 6,000 years ago, meaning that the Sphinx is at least 6,000 years old.
Herodotus, they talked about the Sphinx being vastly older. They're hearing things about it being older. Gaston Maspero and a lot of the archaeologists, the early explorers for that region, also mentioned it being 12+ thousand years old, it being this ancient monument. And there's strong evidence to support that, in that, I mean, you have statues of sphinxes that predate Khafra, for example. Like, so when he apparently built it, like, there's already, we see statues and imitations of sphinxes, also lions.
And this is how some of those imitation sphinxes look like. Pretty cool.
Before that time, you have what's called the inventory stele, or the stele of Khufu's daughter, which was a statue that Khufu being Khafra's father, so Khufu, Great Pyramid, Khafra, middle pyramid. This is rarely acknowledged, but it tells the story of that Khufu was trying to repair the Sphinx and dig it out of the sand. He's Khafra's father, so this could be older, but also the name, like the oldest name for the Sphinx is Ruti, and it's the two lions. It's Sekhmet, and what's the name of the other lion? I can't.
The original name of the Great Sphinx of Giza is indefinitely known, but Egyptians later called it Horem Akhet, Horus in the horizon.
I have it here. What is it? I can't remember the name of the other lion god, but it literally means two lions and gate. So it's like this lion's gate. It's guarding a gate. But this is one of the oldest names for it. So if it was indeed a lion and it's facing due east, and we know that things like processional cycles, processional numerology is deeply embedded in many, many cultures all around the world. This is one of the other.
Yet again, more proof that the ancient civilizations were more advanced than we give them credit for.
Key bits of context that seems to point to a consolidated origin point for knowledge and data of the cosmos and of geodetic data. But knowledge of the precession of the equinoxes is one of those, which is basically you mark this by what constellation is behind the rising sun on the vernal equinox facing east. So as we look east today, it's somewhere between the constellation of Pisces and Aquarius. And it's a cycle that denotes or is due to the Earth's wobble. All right, so we have at least three motions of the planet. We have the rotation of the Earth, so 24-hour cycle.
The Earth wobbles on its axis similar to a spinning top, a phenomenon called axial precession caused mainly by the Moon and Sun's gravity, shifting the planet's orientation over a long 26,000-year cycle, changing the North Star and influencing climate over millennia.
We have the orbit of the Earth around the Sun, 365 and a quarter days. And then you have the precessional wobble. There's a couple more, actually. And that is basically the Earth, as it spins, does this. It describes this little, like its axis. It describes a circle in space, which changes the constellation. And it's a cycle that takes around 26,000 years. 25,920 is the typical description for it. And what that means is the backdrop of stars, as we're looking at any time, is slowly changing.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button and also consider subscribing. I'll see you next time. Peace.